Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining today's webinar. Before we dive in, I have just a few quick housekeeping notes. Today's session is being recorded, and a link to the on-demand version will be shared with all registrants after the event. We encourage you to submit your questions at any time using the chat feature. We'll address questions at the end of the session, time permitting. If we do not get to your question, we will reach out to you after the session. You can also access additional resources and helpful links at any time during the session through the event portal. And now I'm pleased to introduce today's host, Ron Cook, Senior Director of Public Sector Delivery at Memory Blue. Ron brings over 6 years of experience at Memory Blue, where he leads public sector delivery engagements, oversees sales training programs, and provides strategic support to both customers and internal teams. Ron, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Stacy. Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're delighted to have you with us today. I want to start with some intros of our panelists, and then I want to talk about I want to discuss the topics of, sorry, cut that out. I want to discuss the topics at hand. So first, we all know that the federal landscape is evolving, and with it, new possibilities are emerging. Shifts in procurement and compliance to broader policy changes like DOGE. These transitions can feel uncertain, but they also present real opportunities to adapt and grow. For companies selling into the government, this is a time to stay curious, stay connected, and continue creating value in new ways. Today's panel brings together professionals who are thinking through these changes in real time. We're here to exchange ideas, share experiences, and spark strategies that can help your teams, move forward with clarity and confidence. Whether you're exploring new approaches or simply seeking reassurance that you're not in this alone, we hope that this session leaves you feeling informed, energized, and inspired. So let's dive into it. First, let's get into the panelists. So first up, we have Hillary Coover. She is on the board of advisors for the Cyber Guild. I will pass it on to her to give her introduction.
Thank you so much, Ron. Hi, everyone. I'm Hillary Coover, and I'm here representing the Cyber Guild. I'm a national security technology professional with a lot of experience in this space and helping the cyber workforce navigate the new federal landscape, and also companies that are looking to grow their bench of cyber professionals, develop them, empower them, diversify them. So that's our mission.
Awesome. Thank you, Hillary. Next up, we have Jay Hagler, Vice President of Business Development at Cognac Government Services.
Hey, Ron. It's glad to meet you. And Cognac Government Services, well, I'll first start with me. I've been in the BD business for over 20 years. I used to have my own company. I sold it. I went to work for Cognac Government Services. This is Alaska Native Corporation. That corporation started in 1975. Our current CEO took over about 8 years ago. And at that time, we were roughly 85 million, I think 85 to 100 million. Right now, we're at about $900 million a year in revenue. When you look at our organization, it's about 28 subsidiaries, 10 offices. We support customers nationwide, and CONUS and OCONUS. Most of our staff is clear. 28% of that staff is top secret. About 3,400 employees. We have 10 8As, and then our top secret facility clearance, a bunch of industry certifications. So we've been around for a while doing some amazing things in the organization, and we're excited to be here and be a part of this.
Awesome. Last but certainly not least, we have Joy Scoffler. She is the principal of Distinctive Edge Partners, and I'll pass it off to her.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. My business, Distinctive Edge Partners, we work across the aerospace and defense and kind of GovCon space, as well as with the DoD and FedCiv sector. And what we do is we help with communications, marketing, events management. We do technology scouting for different branches of the government, run different government events, and just have a pretty deep background working across both the investment ecosystem, technology and entrepreneurial ecosystem, and then across the aerospace and defense landscape. Have a team that comes from kind of the big primes as well as innovative companies like Palantir and others. So thank you so much for having me here from the kind of the marketing comms perspective.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Awesome. Why don't we get right into it? So first up, hot topic, understanding Doge, finding the opportunity within the shift. Like I said in the intro, I think we all agree, like naturally, federal landscape is shifting. Usually happens when there's any change in leadership, like we've experienced in the United States this past November. What we want to talk about today is what is the upside there? How do we capitalize on it? How do we basically find the light at the end of the tunnel? Because I know change is constant. It's kind of one of the most it's a big irony. So first question that I have. So specifically, how can sales and marketing, sales and talent acquisition teams, how do these strategies evolve to meet the moment? This is not something anyone has, probably years and years and years of experience on as we've cycled through new professionals. But I want to know, and I'm sure the viewers want to know, what exactly can these teams do to ride the wave instead of essentially being hit by it?
I would love to speak to the talent side because there is a lot of opportunity for both companies and talent in the cybersecurity space. And again, that's where I'm focused today. But because of the influx of cyber professionals, many of whom are cleared in the market, there is a lot of opportunity for companies to build out their benches, build out their brand, and by showing support for some of these industry folks with firsthand, secondhand knowledge of what's going on the inside, what types of automation is happening down the road, where companies can strategically invest and engage from a also sales and marketing perspective. But again, also be seen as a company supporting the community of folks, that's a small community, as they navigate this next chapter.
And just adding on to what Hillary was saying, especially with Memory Blue having such an amazing base of companies all throughout the technology ecosystem, some who, maybe have looked into working with the government, but aren't established government contractors. This could be a really great time to, partner, build connections, or potentially hire somebody who really understands the landscape, adding that talent to their team. But, people might be a little bit more open to spending the time to get to know a potential new partner with new technologies. On the positive side, there is going to be a lot of new technology that the government will likely be acquiring here in the near future. There's changes to acquisitions that are coming. We've seen new requests that are coming in new proposal requests that are coming in. We've seen new awards for technologies platforms on the acquisition front. So traditional technology companies and other companies can really have an opportunity to be able to get out there and build new relationships and kind of make connections. And Jay, the work that you guys are doing with CONIAG, you guys have so much experience implementing technologies for the government. And so I'd love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, when I look at it, it'll be a little different because I'm coming from boots on the ground kind of thing. So there's 5 key focus areas I would suggest that as you begin to grow. Is your technology and your solution modernization. Then you have your cost cutting and efficiency consulting. That's going to grow more than people really think that they can believe. And then the flexibility and the agile workforce model. That's going to be big in the sense that the on-demand talent and staffing is going to become a thing. When you're having an opportunity to move into cyber and project management, now government is going to be struggling to find companies that they can hold on to. So they're going to be looking for pockets of folks. Hey, can you give me 7 network engineers, 5 cyber guys, and then I need 2 cloud guys. And I need it for about 6 months. They don't want the big integrators coming in and saying, well, give me $1 billion for 15 years. I can do it all day long. That's not going to happen. Another thing that's going to come into play is public and private partnerships. Now they want to see you go outside and find somebody that's doing cloud out in the world where it's really happening, who's doing it for other folks other than, let's say, a small organization within Department of Labor or something like that. They want to see that you're out doing unmanned vehicles out in the world, working with SpaceX. Now they're looking to say, hey, I know you're a government contractor, but I also have this private partnership I'm working with that I can bring this cutting edge, more technology. And then in that case, you're bringing some more value to the team. But the thing that I think where companies are going to struggle is now you're going to have to do a little bit more on your messaging. Marketing materials should focus on how products and services contribute to cost savings and process improvement. We're spending a lot of time revamping how we approach that. When my conversation just recently at the Air Force, focusing on, hey guys, not only are we a service provider, but let me show you how we're doing this and the ways that it's going to save you. Then you're going to have to look at your case studies. People are putting out a bunch of case studies, and they want you to see where you're going to put these case studies and where they're going to focus and how efficient are you going to run. And then like the last thing and most important thing would be your ROI. I think that a clear return on investment, particularly around products and services, at the same time focusing on cutting edge technology. So cost savings is going to be big. Flexibility is going to be a big thing. And I think if you can do those things as an organization, you could survive this and actually come out better than when you went in.
Really well said. If I could chime in on with one more thing to add on to all of that, because you guys hit the nail on the head everywhere. So as far as talent strategies go, it's, building your bench, helping that community of folks, say, even if it's by offering to hold their security clearances for a period of time. So you build out your bench. That's not a very expensive thing to do. And you can get a couple hours of consulting, help them transition into whatever comes next. That's one suggestion if you're looking to meet that demand that that you just mentioned. People are looking for those 6-month on-demand workforce opportunities. The other important approach is community building. Regardless of the environment, I find that critical to any go-to-market strategy, no matter what the environment is, because business is relationships. And one of those is, an example would be the Cyber Guild, and I'll share on May 29th, we're organizing an event where we're bringing those impacted by the RIF, whether they're defense industrial base, government, and we're bringing them together for a day-long workshop and bringing in companies that are interested in hiring and building out those benches and that workforce. So, this is it's just an example of a way that you can approach building a community. Just think about how to add value to the people that you want to connect with and work with.
I think that's a great idea. I think that's where a lot of people are going to see a lot of change. And again, when you talk about the agile workforce model, one of the things also is promoting, as you said, start building a culture, a family that can work together. One of the things that we need to really look at is helping people understand that they now have to promote innovation and flexibility. It's going to be a big key to your success. And so what we're doing now is the government contractors will need to encourage culture of creating innovation. What we have inside of Cognac is Innovation Spike. Innovation Spike gives any person in the organization who's dabbling in IT or doing whatever to come up with a process that we may need. We have a thing right now where we do it's called Casper. It actually helps us manage the proposal process. It's an incredible tool, which now the Air Force has picked up and some other people have. The only reason it's important in this particular conversation is not to sell Casper, but to say that came from a guy who was working in proposals or something. He came up with an idea. They brought some engineers in and he created a tool that we now use in-house. So I totally agree with that. We have to build a community that makes sense.
And just to kind of touch on one thing that Jay said is that the language that you market and the language that you talk to people in is absolutely changing. Just double tapping on making sure that your marketing materials and your website and kind of all of the different components are really set with this, rift and, people leaving. One of the things is that your traditional acquisition folks, that team might be a lot smaller and they might be relying on technology that is, feeding folks keywords, or, we don't know exactly how the process is going to change yet. But we know it's going to change. We know there's going to be a lot more technology in it. And so if you're kind of, not speaking to the government in their language, if you're not, using the right words, the right terminology, as well as some of the flexibility and efficiency and, kind of some of the other things that are speaking to the people who are acquiring, as well as making sure that you're getting picked up in, any sort of front engine filter, then the chances of you succeeding are going to be a lot less, because right now, at least there's less, in-person touch points than there used to be in the past.
Absolutely. I love how all this is coming together. So we're talking about community, which that's where innovation is born out of. And out of that innovation, we're going to need to communicate that efficiency in those products, those services. So it all kind of works together. And I think when you zoom out, that's kind of like the macro scale of the opportunity at hand. I want to talk a little bit about the opportunities emerging from the shifting environment, but more specifically around what technologies we all feel are going to really shine in these next 5, 10, 15 years, and what the demand is for. What I'm seeing on my end is a lot of new wave process efficiency, anything AI machine powered or machine learning powered, blockchain is certainly a staple right now. I just want to hear from you all who are ears to the ground on this kind of stuff every single day. What are you hearing out there? Is it kind of the same as I listed, or am I missing something? I'm just curious.
Ladies, go ahead.
I'll go ahead and start with, for what I am seeing is a huge increase in openness to commercial technologies in a way that I've never seen before. That being said, I think the obstacles the processes of acquisition, like Joy was saying earlier, are changing in a way that will favor the commercial sector that perhaps hasn't done business with the government and has an important problem to solve for them.
Ron, I think that you've hit on some key things. Those are more larger, big picture things. And when you're looking at the government from the perspective of, say, a Cognac, I need to figure out more of what's important internally to my customers that I'm going to speak to. So blockchain going into the Air Force would mean absolutely nothing, but in the end, it's going to mean everything. So right now, it's early on. But when you look at the shifting federal environment, it creates several emerging opportunities, I believe, for contractors, businesses, even consultants for that matter. The key opportunities include technology solutions, anything AI, anything autonomous. Those things are right now, I think Joy and I have been to 3 different conferences. They're not talking about anything else other than software development that supports those opportunities. And what customers, I will say it a different way. What some of the companies need to understand is the goal now is going to be helping the fighting soldier in the field. Like there's no more like, hey, let's get in the foxhole, let's dig it up, let's kind of make it happen. Guys are carrying data centers on their back. They're having shifts that can pull up to a dolly and plug in and get downloaded everything they need and never go back and tie in. Right now, we're trying to cut down times of how long it takes us to refuel and re-weaponize a aircraft carrier. Right now, what is it, Joe? 45 days it takes. So if you lose all your weapons and shot all your bullets, when you go back, you're gone for 45 days. By the time you come back, there is no war. So I think that process optimization, flexible workforce, these things are not just the new word to say. They're going to force us to do it. They're going to say, guys, I need to know why you're doing it, how fast you're going to do it, how efficiently you're going to do it. And then it better not cost me a ton of money to get it done, because that guy over there does the same exact thing and he's doing it for 5 cents less. It's going to make us more competitive. It's going to make us drive a little bit harder. So I believe that there's a ton of opportunity, but you have to be poised to succeed in this evolving landscape.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And, one of the early things that we're hearing anecdotally is that a lot of the barriers to entry from acquisitions are going to be adjusted. So, whereas it can take, the last time I heard it's like 18 months to get on the GSA schedule. Like it's a process. You got to hire a consultant, things like that. There's new technologies that are being looked at to streamline that. FedRAMP certifications or different certifications, there's things that are being looked at to streamline that potentially. So we're really hearing kind of, looking at some of the things that are causing a lot of these barriers to entry for the technology side are being looked at. And so there is, efficiency potentially being brought into the process. And then I would just also add, I think there's so much opportunity in human machine interface as well. Biotech, the things that I was talking to somebody the other day from a military branch, and they were like, we really want synthetic blood. If you know anybody in biotech who could help us with synthetic blood, let me know. We got money for it. It's a huge, thing. We want the soldiers to be able to carry it on their back and, start an IV in the field. And so they're thinking about things in really this new way. And I think a lot of the folks on the innovation side are excited because they're seeing an opportunity to maybe actually get some new players in here and new technologies.
Absolutely.
While being able to partner with established ones to, bring even more faster. So there's so much opportunity.
Yeah, it's amazing how many times a commercial enterprise facing organization that does these things hasn't even thought of federal applications yet. It just wasn't on their battle card, because to the point about marketing, you got to be able to market to that crowd, and you got to have, Jay, to your point, you got to have the vehicles to get there.
Absolutely.
So Hillary, I wanted to ask you, I'm curious, kind of the same question about what, the Cyber Guild. What are you hearing from the community? What are the individuals excited about at this turn of the corner here?
Great question. I think most people in business know change is a constant. And so, while this industry is traditionally a little less, a little more immune to those changes, I would say, right now is a little different. So the folks in the community are rallying to support one another. And I mean, the folks in the community, meaning government, former government, industry, commercial sector, everybody's sort of rallying around this next phase of, cybersecurity technology at large for the government, and figuring out where they can position. And it's been overwhelmingly positive to see the community come together, support one another, volunteer, network, and help one another out. And I think that I think that's how you do business, is you really invest in those communities that have been around for years and nurture them. And so when a time like this comes about where you have a little bit more uncertainty than normal, it's a time to tap into that community and reap its benefits.
Absolutely. And I want to say, I asked because I think some of the most innovative ideas come from, communities like the Cyber Guild, being bouncing off each other, being excited about what's going to happen rather than fearful, and, coming up with the impossible and then going, okay, well, let's figure out how to make that happen. And I think we've benefited so much from that. So, Awesome. Anything else in terms of the specific topic or specific technologies?
Yeah, well, when you talk about the opportunities emerging, I think when you listen to what everyone is talking about, these new technologies, human relationship with AI, the thing that I think that a lot of companies that if they are in this field, I know we're starting to build our programs around it, is training. Now you're starting to have to train people to work within the space with an AI tool, whether it's retraining or uptraining. And I think that if we spend some time with the new tools and processes and strategies, there's an opportunity there for companies to come in and say, hey, I can train an AI, I can teach how to develop in low code, no code environments. I can assist you in teaching your old staff that's COBOL and how to get into some other software development tool that they want to use. Again, processes. One thing that's the scariest thing for the government, and this is anyone that exists in the space, is change. Soon as somebody said we're going to do it different, it went bananas. But in the end, I don't know what's going to happen. But if it turns out great, you're going to think back. I was so super excited and mad and upset, and this is actually benefiting us. So for us, those companies that can train and teach and upsell and focus your attention and get you to understand how to work in a space, I think that will be another space of opportunity for companies to grow.
Absolutely. So, last thing,
if I may, on the community front, I mentioned the Cyber Guild, but I would be remiss to not mention the fact that there are so many communities to get involved in, nonprofits, organizations, research foundations that you can align yourself to get involved pretty quickly and easily.
And one of the things that I would say too, one of the things that I've been hearing from people who are acquiring new tech is that they're looking to bring lots of groups together to team and partner to be able to really bring the best from multiple organizations for projects. And so looking to see like who in the market is the best at that one thing that you do, right? Coniag's the best at AI. They're running like the Air Force One, all the electronics on Air Force One and all this cool stuff. So if you're in electronics and doing that stuff, right? Like who is the best at the thing that you do? And how can you look for opportunities to team and partner? A lot of contracts, they have, multiple different set asides for small business if it's a prime and, different things. So finding partners to work with, and you can do that by going to industry days. They have like industry days that you call in, they're online to solve particular problems. And then oftentimes they'll ask you, like, would you like to be included in a teaming list where you can network in with other partners? So the government will actually help you build relationships from a teaming perspective. So if you're new to this and, if you're curious about it, one of the really great ways to get started is to look for teaming opportunities where you can partner with somebody who's bigger and start to build that past performance, utilize some of their past performance and certifications and, different things and contract vehicles in order to get in there and build your past performance so that you can speak to stuff while making sure that this is for you before you, go out and spend however much trying to get FedRAMP certified or this or that, right? So there's lots of different ways to do it depending upon what you're trying to do. So I would just say, you don't necessarily have to start with everything being done and your certifications and, I can't jump into this market until this or that, because I need to do all these things and then, then I'll jump in. It's really like, how can you start and almost do, kind of a fail fast, cheap and easy experiment by teaming, as opposed to, trying to build it all and then, then go in.
That's such an interesting point. To add on to that, Joy, I have so many conversations with leaders in commercial enterprise facing organizations. And, I always talk to them about like, hey, like this, your tech, whatever you guys do would be really applicable in XY agency. And then I'm always hearing, oh, I don't even know I wouldn't know where to start. And I don't we're not even going to try to climb that mountain. So when I asked them like, oh, well, like where, we keep talking, it's like, where would you start if you had to, if there was a lot on the line in terms of, ROI, partnerships is never what I hear. I always hear consulting. I always hear I would hire a person that maybe Memory Blue, public sector for the sales development piece only, but it's never oh my gosh, I could partner with someone who like fast tracks this stuff. And I think that sense of inter-organization community, and Hillary, I'd love your thoughts on this too, is kind of lost sometimes on these smaller stage commercial enterprise organizations when they're looking to break into and have a footprint into the federal government. They think they have to do it all by themselves when there's organizations that can form a community.
Yeah, I would love to touch on that because I've been a founder myself, and worked for many small businesses where capture, what we call in this industry capture, which essentially means teaming to go after mutually beneficial opportunities and support one another. I have found a lot of success in finding opportunities, identifying, just listed on whatever website you use for government opportunity research, figuring out where the gaps are in compliance in terms of past performance, and trying to put together a partner strategy and an approach. And in my approach, I offer, no one likes to write proposals. I'm sorry. But in my approach back in those days when I was working for those small businesses, trying to get work share for those, with those large strategic integrators, it was, I will write the proposal. I will write it all. I will do everything. I will recruit. I will, and really just be willing to put a lot of work into that. The other piece is for the audience, since you're listening to this and you see, community is important, and it helps accelerate the process of figuring out whether this is something that's going to work or be of interest to you. And I say that because I've known a lot of companies that have started, say, with their law firm. Like they started with a law firm like Joy, Ward & Berry very well. And they say, okay, let's see what does it look like? Just an overall consultation. And then, a law firm like that will open up their, network and say, well, here's what it's like. Here are some of our clients that have been successful doing this or that. And then that's what ultimately led me one day to Joy. So, it's just like, as you're engaging with these folks that have lots of experience in this industry, you can build your own community. And one of the things I've done for 10 plus years is have informal capture dinners where we rally around a specific topic, whether it's counter weapons of mass destruction, overseas business opportunities, founders in tech, whatever it is. And everybody comes to the table with an opportunity that they are looking to partner on, or they are looking for business intelligence on. So typically folks it's like 20 to 30 people, and everyone brings 1 to 2 opportunities and then breaks out to figure out and right there on the spot, you have people shaking hands, agreeing to work share, figuring out teaming agreements. And it's one of the best ways one of the ways I've found the most success in this business. And I can't recommend it enough.
Absolutely. Relationships, from my perspective, have been for my clients the number one catalyst for developing business in the federal, state, local governments as well. Awesome. So I want to talk about something a little more open-ended, not really a question, more of a request. I want to know what advice you three have for someone navigating the changes right now, specifically how to make the best of it. Maybe it could be something that you are communicating within your respective organizations or externally to the community at large. So Jay, we'll start with you, and then we can go down the line here.
Yeah, I hate giving advice, but we're gonna go ahead and do it. Succeeding in this evolving environment, and I guess focusing on aligning your business with federal government's priorities. You need to first figure out the true priorities of the government. That's key. We talked a lot about community. To have some really good success now, these private and these partnerships have to be real. Like right now, we have what's called a strategic small business program. We bring in small organizations so that they can see how we run our proposals, how we manage they want to look at our benefits, all the things that they can see so they can help grow their business. But in that, you have to understand the new priorities, efficiency, cost reduction, modernization. By staying informed and adapting quickly, that's going to be huge. We just had an RFP come out. We started responding. They pulled it back. And then they added cloud, agile, and cybersecurity to it. For us, that was a plus. But for some companies, that was I'm out. And it's having partnerships that says, I got someone that does that. I got someone that does that. This is my piece I'm really good at. And so you need to build those relationships by staying informed and adapting quickly and positioning yourself as a strategic partner to the government, not as just a service organization and you're just trying to get some work to stay afloat. You'll be well prepared to navigate the shifting landscape and capitalize on emerging opportunities. I am confident in when I say that. So, because I've met Joy and I think I've met every general. I was trying to get into Army Futures. I've met the #1 Army Futures guy and had drinks with him, and he understands who we are. That relationship with Joy came from Amanda, who is Warden Berry. And that's it never, and then I met you through Joy. These things are the things that are going to make those that are willing to work together have success in all of this turmoil.
Completely agree.
I'm like Jay, I hate to give advice, but I would say,
Had to
We're going to
reword
do it again, Joy. Somebody's going to say, you guys told us to do it this way, and it didn't work.
if there's, making sure that you're ready for the opportunity. We're in a little bit of a planting of the seeds phase. And so, you could even equate, we're getting the dirt ready, right? So to eventually have a harvest, you gotta prepare the dirt. So what does that look like for your business or organization? It looks like, making sure that your messaging is right, making sure that your website is good, building relationships with different companies who are in your sector, looking for partner opportunities, going out and identifying like, okay, where is it that I need to be? Or from both a digital perspective as well as, potentially in person. A lot more is happening in DC these days. They're still doing events there because, a lot of the federal sector employees can still go to those events, or people can go to those events. So where do you need to be? And then how do you kind of build those relationships? So, having your partners, getting your stuff ready, researching, kind of doing the due diligence so that when the time comes, you can very quickly go after those opportunities, plant the seeds, and, then continue on.
You guys are amazing. I don't want to follow this act, but I'll say be generous with your time, with your openness to new relationships, and get out there and make friends. Come join our groups. Get into our orbits, pun intended, because space tech, right? But I think above all else is just be generous and help others out, whether it's going to help you this year, next year, or not. I think, kind folks finish first is something I truly believe.
I love that.
Absolutely. Shake the hand, take the meeting, because you never know what might come of it. You never know who knows who and what it could lead to. Things move slow, fast. But along the way, if you have the right relationships, it really all evens out and you're going to be successful in the end. So I'm telling our clients all the time, maybe not, if it's not a sales opportunity, maintain the relationship, because you never know. especially in this space. Awesome. Guess I'll pause on the 10. Why not? Well, great. Thank you all for joining today, and thank you all for watching. Stimulating conversation is exactly what I wanted to really talk about. I'm sure our viewers are probably feeling a little better than when they started this webinar. So that was the goal. Yeah, I want to say thank you again, and we'll be in touch.
Ron, thank you. It was a great job, and we appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Of course.